Chapter 4. Affecting Climate. Ponder point. The climate is most important component of natural environment that influences the life of the people on the earth. You can see that the climate in hilly areas is very cold while the southern parts of India are very hot. Let's read its reasons. Reading objectives. Definitions. Weather and climate. Factors affecting climate. Heat zones of Earth. Definitions. Weather and climate. Weather changes every day because the air in our atmosphere is always moving, distributing energy from the sun. In most of the places in the world, the types of weather also vary throughout the year. Weather is the conditions of the atmosphere at a particular place and time. Weather can change from day to day and even from hour to hour. Today might be a cold and rainy day and tomorrow might be a bright and sunny day. The climate is the common average weather conditions at a particular place over a long period of time, more than 30 years. The deserts have a hot and dry climate while the Antarctic has a very cold and dry climate. Get to know more. Hot, cold, rainy, windy. Enrich yourself. Weather forecasting is the attempt by meteorologists to predict the state of the atmosphere at some future time and the weather conditions that may be expected. It is important for individuals and organizations. Factors affecting climate. The climate of a place affects the people living there in many ways. The clothes they wear, the food they eat and the types of house they live in are all affected by the climate. Factors determining the climate of a place are distance from the equator or latitude, height above sea level or altitude, distance from the sea, winds, the amount of moisture in the air, latitude. Latitude is the main factor that affects the global climate. The farther you go from the equator, the cooler it gets. This is because the Earth is round, which means that the sun's energy is more concentrated at the equator. It means that the Earth is hotter here. Altitude. Temperature decrease by 1 degree Celsius for every 100 meters increase in altitude. Mountains are therefore cooler. Distance from the sea. Water heats up and cools down more slowly than land. This affects the climate of places near the sea. They are warmer in winter and cooler in summer than places far away from the sea. For example, Mumbai is closer to the equator than Delhi. We can therefore expect it to be warmer than Delhi during summer. But this is not so, because Mumbai is situated on the sea coast. This keeps its climate moderate. Prevailing winds. Winds tend to flow in particular directions in different parts of the world. They may be hot, cool or full of moisture, depending on where they come from. For example, the monsoon winds from the Indian Ocean and Arabian Sea bring rain to large parts of India. The hot winds from the Thar Desert make Delhi very hot during summer. Thus, the climate of an area is affected by the winds. The amount of moisture in the air. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. It affects the climate of a place. The air over the equator is landed with water vapor, as the heat of the sun causes rapid evaporation of the ocean water. This causes heavy rains in the area, so the climate near the equator is hot and wet. Deserts are formed in places where there is very little humidity, and so very little rain, throughout the year. Get to know more. Scientists who study and predict the weather are called meteorologists. They use satellite pictures of the Earth to predict the weather. Climatic zones on the Earth. There are 3 climatic or heat zones on the Earth. The torrid zone, The area on both sides of the equator, between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, is called the torrid or tropical zone. As it lies near the equator, this zone receives maximum heat. It is hot throughout the year here. The temperate zones, the areas that lie between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere, and the Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere, are called the temperate. Climatic zones. This region has a mild climate, neither very hot nor very cold. The frigid zones. The areas between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, and between the Antarctic Circle and South Pole in the southern hemisphere receive very little heat from the sun. They are very cold, and large parts are covered with snow throughout the year. They are called the frigid zones. Searching dictionary. Predict. To tell what is going to happen in the future. Humidity. The amount of water vapor in the air. Word to know. Weather is the condition of the atmosphere at a particular place and time. The climate is the common average weather conditions at a particular place over a long period of time. Latitude is the main factor that affects the global climate. The farther you go from the equator, the cooler it gets. Wind may be hot, cool or full or moisture depending on where they come from. There are 3 climatic zones on the Earth: the torrid zone, the temperate zone, and the frigid zone.